Thank you for joining NextLabs. Today's topic we will be discussing dynamic authorization and policy-based access management for Hadoop and Tableau ecosystem. Provide fine-grained data access control. First, we'll take a look at the system landscape. We will have three different landscapes involved: the Tableau landscape, the Ranger Hadoop landscape, and the NextLabs policy server. The first thing that we will see is that the NextLabs policy server will talk to the Ranger policy enforcement point plugin from NextLabs that lives on the Ranger Hadoop landscape. That Apache Ranger policy enforcement point will speak to the Ranger Hive plugin, and then we will see that when the browser comes in to access the Tableau landscape, or in this case the Tableau server to run the report, that will speak to the Ranger Hive plugin, as well as talk to the policy enforcement point to make its decisions on what it will display within the report when it's retrieved. Here we'll see our use case description and the data setup. So here we'll have Hive as a table of IT supporting tickets of over 1 million records. Tickets come from different departments assigned to different users and have different categories and severity levels. The Tableau server will have one report available for all users to query the tickets. Dynamic authorization will be used to provide data access control when a user tries to access this report. So we're going to have users in different departments, in this case admin, marketing, HR, and IT, and then they will have different users and different roles. In our use case description policy setup, we'll have 4 different policies. Policy A, the IT department manager can access and oversee all the tickets of all departments. Policy B, a user not in IT department can only see tickets assigned to him or herself. There'll be row filtering that will be applied. In Policy C, IT department user can see all current tickets, but cannot see the prod name and description of the ticket not assigned to him or herself. There'll be data masking. And Policy D, a manager not in IT department can see all tickets of his department, but cannot see the description if the ticket is not assigned to him or her. Cannot see the prod name if the ticket's category is security or authentication. In this case, data masking and row filtering will be applied. Hadoop data service and dataset setup, Hive, Ranger, and LDAP. So from within the dashboard, if we look at the left-hand side, we will see Hive, we'll see Ranger, and we'll also see the LDAP defined. Next, we will take a look at the Tableau report setup at the Tableau server. So here we're on the home screen within Tableau. Going into the Explorer, we can look at the different folders. In this case, we can go into the default folder and look at the demo report that's been created. So here we can see sheet 1 in the structure. In this case, it'll bring back the information that we spoke about earlier. So here we'll have the department, who it's assigned to, the category, the severity, the prod name, and the short description. Next, we'll look at policy setup and deployment. So here we are in the Control Center main screen, where we can see that we have a policy decision point that's been deployed and a number of IceNet servers for communication. We'll take a look at the policies, and in this case we have several policies that we've created that are going to handle the conditions based on our use cases that we described earlier. So first we can see a non-IT user can view tickets assigned to him or herself. So here we'll have a subject component of an IT department, and that's not a manager. And then based on that, we have resources. In this case, we have the support ticket partition that we're listing and that they can view tickets. The key here is that we had an advanced condition saying that the user must not equal the resource support ticket assignment to. So in this case, they can view everything within that. Next, we could take a look at an IT user can view all tickets. So again, we can go through, see they can view all tickets, but in this case, we're going to have data masking depending on what the resource is, as well as the severity and who it's assigned to. So again, these are all attributes that are going to be used at the time the report is run in order to make a decision as to what can and can't be viewed, even though it's a single report that's being run for each of those users. But the outcomes are different based on which policy applies, based on the information that is being passed in at the time of the request. And here we'll see non-IT users can view tickets inside his or her department. So it's going to look for an IT department if they're a manager, the support ticket. If the user department equals the resource support ticket that they own, there'll be data masking based on certain things as far as ticket partition, resource prod name, if it's going to be redacted and or masked as well. So now we're going to take the 4 policies and actually deploy them. So the Control Center will now deploy those out to the policy decision point, in which case the policy enforcement point will then. Right, now let's take a look at the use case test. So here we have policy A. This is if the IT department manager can access and oversee all the tickets of all the departments. So here we'll see when we go in, manager 5, which happens to be an IT person, and they proceed to run the report, we'll see that it'll bring back all the different departments. But in this case, you'll see that some of the descriptions are masked, right? So in this case, they can't view the short description. In policy B test, we have a user that's not in the IT department can only see tickets assigned to him or herself. So in this case, we're going to do row filtering. So in this scenario, we're going to use user 1, and the user 1 happens to be an admin. So here we can see that it brings back less tickets, and it redacts the ones that are severity high and not assigned to an admin. So here we can see the short description being masked. And now we're going to look at user 4, and user 4 has even less information they can see from the HR department. Here in our test case policy C, the IT department user can see all tickets but cannot see the prod name and description if the ticket is not assigned to him or herself. So here we're going to be doing data masking. So in this case, we're going to go in as user 5, and that's an IT person. Here we see all the departments, but in this case, we see that some of the prod names are masked out as well as the short description. So they see all the tickets, but the short description and the prod names have been redacted and masked in this case with asterisks. So any of them that are high or critical have been masked out completely. And now use case policy D, we have a manager not in IT department can see all tickets of his department, but cannot see the descriptions if the ticket is not assigned to him or her. Cannot see the prod name if the ticket's category is security or authentication. So in this case, we're doing data masking and row filtering. So here we'll see we're using manager 1. In this case, manager 1 is an admin. So the admin can see certain tickets, but they also see masking in the short description. And all the descriptions are masked if it's authentication, as we can see here for the short description, as well as the prod names. Since they don't own them, they can't view any of that information. In our last case, we're going to go in as Manager 3. In this case, Manager 3 is from HR. Here, Manager 3 can see several tickets, but the short description has been masked out. They're all low severity. They can look at all the prod names, but that's all they can view. And notice that they can't view other departments' tickets, so they only see what's in the HR department. This concludes our demonstration. Thank you for joining.